Wife cheated with her broke ex, demanded half of everything in our divorce, but she didn't know my mom secretly owned everything. Alright. So here I am writing this out because I honestly don't know what else to do. I never thought I'd be posting my business online, but things have hit a point where I kinda need an outside perspective. I'm 35, and I run a tech consulting business that's actually pretty successful, comfortable enough to not have to stress about the day-to-day. I built this thing from scratch over the last decade, and, yeah, I'm proud of it. I've been married to Olivia, who's 33 for the last 2 years. We were together about 5 years total, and for the most part, I thought things were good. Turns out I might have been the only one who thought that. Olivia used to work in PR, but right after we got married, she decided she wanted to take a break and focus on us. That's what she called it. At first, I was totally fine with it. I mean, I figured we could afford it, and she'd jump back into the workforce eventually. I didn't mind supporting us both because I wanted her to feel comfortable. And honestly, the business was doing well enough that I wasn't sweating it. I thought it was a temporary thing that she'd find her footing again. But looking back, maybe I should have seen the signs. The last few months, things between us started to change. I know that sounds cliché, but it's true. Olivia started acting distant, cold even, like she was checked out half the time. I get home from work, and instead of her usual warm greeting, it was like she barely noticed. She'd be out a lot more, always with some excuse about meeting friends or needing to clear her head. I figured maybe she was going through something, and I didn't want to push. You know, marriage has ups and downs, and everyone says you've got to ride those out. But still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously off. One night, she told me she was heading out with some friends and would be back late. It wasn't unusual by that point, so I didn't think much of it. I stayed up working on some stuff for the business, just trying to make progress on this new project we had going. By the time she came back, I was dead tired and already in bed. I barely heard her come in, and she went straight to the guest room. Now that had become her habit, crashing in the guest room whenever she got home late. She said it was so she wouldn't wake me up, but I started wondering if that was really all there was to it. Fast forward a couple of days later. Olivia was out again, supposedly with the same friends, and I was at home just kind of waiting. I didn't want to admit to myself that I was waiting for her to get back so I could figure out what was going on. Around 11 p.m., I heard her laptop buzz from the kitchen counter. Apparently, she forgot it there opened. Out of habit, I glanced at the screen. I know. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it's not like I went looking for it. The name Ryan popped up. Now Ryan wasn't a name I'd heard before. My heart kinda dropped when I saw the message. It read something like, "Can't wait until this is over. We'll finally be free." I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I had this gut feeling that something was really wrong. I opened the message thread. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have. But at that point, my brain was just going nuts. And well, what I found was the stuff of nightmares. Turns out Ryan wasn't some random friend. He was Olivia's ex-boyfriend, the guy she dated before we even met. She used to call him a loser and complain about how he had no direction, no job, no ambition. So imagine my surprise when I'm reading all these texts between her and this guy, realizing they've been in touch for months, planning some sort of escape plan or whatever. And it wasn't just casual talk. They were serious. They had this whole fantasy planned out about leaving me, taking what they could, and starting fresh together. I felt like my whole world just cracked open. I'd worked so hard to build this business, to make something that would set us up for life. And here she was scheming to take it all. Ryan didn't have a job, didn't have anything going for him, and clearly, he'd found himself a golden ticket in Olivia's twisted plan. I kept reading, not knowing if I wanted to see more but also feeling like I needed to know everything. The messages were disgusting, really. They'd talk about how they'd be set once Olivia got her half of everything in the divorce and how Ryan could finally stop worrying about money because they'd be comfortable once she got her hands on my business. They were literally working out the details of how to squeeze every penny they could from me. It was like I was just some stepping stone in their big plan for an easy life. The worst part, Olivia made it sound like she was doing this all for him. She'd talk about how she was sacrificing her time with me to make sure they'd be financially set. Sacrificing. As if she'd been putting in effort or working by my side to build what we had. The reality is she never contributed a thing. I mean, I've been the one working late, pulling in clients, dealing with the day-to-day stress. She was just there, living comfortably, but now she was painting herself as some kind of martyr.